Hello, thank you for joining RasPipKr tutorials. I'm Martin Parker, and in this Python tutorial video I'm going to talk to you about functions. Now, in my previous video regarding if statements, I did use a little function and I'd said I'd do a video regarding functions. I did pass in what's called an argument into my test function that I did use, and that was money, to determine if I could buy a coffee or not. So I'm going to define my function by writing def for define. I'm going to call my function test. I'm not going to pass anything into my parentheses brackets. I'm going to put the colon, press enter. Notice how there's an indentation. This is going to be the code, and it's going to be indented from there downwards, or depending on if you put something else that may indent further across. So basically I'm going to print hello in this test function. It's very simple and basic. I have to call my function with the brackets for it to work. So there we go, it's basically printed back hello. I'm going to define my test function again by changing the function by entering a number as an argument, and I'm going to print to screen again. Very simple. The you passed in the number num. Okay, so I'm going to write in my function, but I have to enter a number. If I don't, it's going to throw you missed an argument called num. So I need to call my function with a number. So I'm going to put 7. You passed in the number 7. So you can pass in data into your function. You can pass in lists, variables, etc. And you can even pass in another function if you really wanted to, but like there, I passed in one argument. I'm going to create my test function again, but this time I'm going to call num1 as an argument, and I'm going to comma separated arguments. I'm going to call num2 into this function. So it's waiting for them too. And basically I'm going to print the sum is num1 plus num2. I must put sum then. So there we go, we've created our function, and when you enter your name of your function and put your bracket, sometimes, depending on which editor you're using, it's telling you there it's expecting num1 and num2. So I need to enter in comma separated values into these num1 and num2. And the sum is it's basically adding them two numbers together. You can add in strings into this. So if I was to call my test function and I put Martin, okay, and I could put 22. I'm not 22 years old, but I can pass in that and it will throw me a wobbly because I'm working with an integer, and it's trying to add a string and an integer together, and it's causing a problem. So how you get around that is by entering test, and then I put my name in again, and then if you want to change something from an integer or a float, you would put string or str and then what you're passing into it. So I'm going to put that 22 back in and make sure it's in its brackets, and then pass the end bracket to close off my test function. And now it's passed it in, but it's added it together. And if you wanted to add these, so there's a space, I'm just going to click on my function there and bring it back into play. And what you can do is by adding a space into it, and then do that, and then go to the end. So you can do that, and that would be a way of concatenating like it did there. It just added it in together. But if I were to call in the function, calling my function test Martin string 22, now it's put a space in because we forced a space in the print line. But you could do it an even simpler way. Go back up to this one and put a comma, and because it's using a comma, just like we are here, we are ending our print line statement and then putting a comma. It's actually put in a space for us, so we can do it that way. And then if I call that line again, it's put that space in for us, no problem. Now you can actually create a function. I'm going to call my test function again, and I'm going to call num1 and num2, but this time I'm going to call num2 with a default value. So you can have default values. Now you can't have default value for your first argument position and not your second, but you can have like a wildcard num1 for no default value, but I can class num2 as 5. Now if I print the sum is num1 plus num2. Okay, now if I pass in my test function and I put 8 for num1, and I'm going to tell num2 to be 3 instead of the default value of 5. The sum is 11. Now if I enter my test function, I can put 2 and just pass in one argument because I've got a default value for num2. It's added it in. You can have default values for each one, and what you can do is specify in when you call the function. So I could say num1 equals 99 and num2 as 88. Okay, and it will work from that, and it will add them together. So that's different ways that you can work with your arguments with functions. Okay, so that's it for this video. Please like, share, subscribe. If you want to know any more, ask a question in the comments section, and I'd like hopefully you'll see me in the next one. Catch you later. Bye.